Daniel Bryan has signed with AEW in some amazingly breaking news. Daniel Bryan has signed with All Elite Wrestling. Cassidy Hayes of BodySlam.net learned from a source that Daniel Bryan, aka Brian Danielson, is, quote, locked in and has signed his contract. Danielson had a request that AEW was able to meet, such as working less dates for comparable money as WWE, and the ability to work in New Japan and have creative input on his character. There's already tentative plans in his debut, and I will get to those in a minute because we've already learned some more stuff about that. Just a note, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Pro Wrestling, who is right about most things about when it comes to new signings and insider news, has confirmed that Cassidy Haynes' source is legit. So Daniel Bryan is in AEW. This is what people have been waiting for since we learned that his contract was up. This is what people have been waiting for since we learned that he had left WWE. And there's been a lot of rumblings. Last week, we learned that WWE had no further plans for Bryan Danielson. We learned that they were kind of done as far as selling his merch and all that kind of stuff was taken from the website. So it opened the door for this. And what we knew about Bryan was he wanted to work with talents from all around the world, not just AEW, not just New Japan, but like he wanted to get a little bit of everything. That forbidden door is wide open right now with AEW, thanks to Tony Khan and the work of the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. So that's open. That request is obviously going to be fulfilled, and Bryan is now open to wrestle people like Okada. Bryan is now open to wrestle people like Kota Ibushi. Bryan is now open to wrestle people like Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Zack Sabre Jr. if he wants to, Bandito. The possibilities are endless. And in case you're wondering when this might happen, another note from the Cassidy Haynes source was Cassidy Haynes says that on the breaking news that Daniel Bryan signing with AEW, the tentative plans for Bryan's debut are to have him appear when the company makes their debut in New York City. So that would be the September 22nd show at Arthur Ashe Stadium. The plan was to hold off on debuting Danielson until after the All Out pay-per-view event and to bring him into the pay-per-view. However, and this is a big, monumental however, recent news of CM Punk's potential AEW debut may cause plans to change down the line. If you're a fan of wrestling, if you're a fan of AEW, you are 100% just filled with excitement at what this could mean. Because not only did AEW just now lock up the best technical wrestler in the world, not only did AEW just lock up the most over wrestler in the world, not only did AEW lock up who I believe to be the most beloved single wrestler of all time, they might get CM Punk along with it, and they're going to be debuting him, Bryan Danielson, potentially at this our big Arthur Ashe show. AEW is in a whole different ballpark than they were yesterday before this news broke, because this guy gives them more legitimacy. And I'm sorry, this is no disrespect to anyone who's already there. Daniel Bryan gives them more legitimacy than they've ever had. And like I said, the possibilities are endless. I'm also a huge Bryan fan, so this is just, I've obviously got a big, huge grin on my face. Again, the expectations are for him to come later down the line, but we know that AEW has the right creative. We know they have some of the best wrestlers ever. So the possibilities of who he's going to wrestle just in AEW. Think about just in AEW. Hangman Adam Page, Kenny Omega, Darby Allin, Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, Jon Moxley, who, again, he's wrestled Dean Ambrose, but he's never wrestled Jon Moxley. Miro again. Like the possibilities are just insane as far as AEW goes. And if you were a fan of wrestling, I don't care whether you like WWE or you buy into this war thing or not, you are so excited, because not only will this make AEW a much better product, what this will force WWE to do, it forces them into a position where they legitimately have to compete. Because look, those raw numbers, sub 1.5 million recently. I know they just recently got up to 1.9 million. Congratulations. AEW is just getting over 1 million. And AEW has shown consistent growth throughout their entire process. Could you imagine a hot AEW crowd, a hot AEW product, plus you just throw in one of the most over wrestlers ever in there, and Brian Danielson? I don't know, man. I think they could close that gap with Raw quicker than most people think. This is legitimately the biggest signing in AEW history. I know the Chris Jericho signing at the moment, it meant more for the company because he really led them a lot of legitimacy, and I grant that. But given where they are now, this is the biggest free agent signing they've ever had, and no matter what they do, it's going to be good because not only does it involve AEW's roster and AEW's creativity, but it also includes Brian Danielson, I should say, the American Dragon Brian Danielson's own creative spin. And we know that he's someone who loves the creative nature of pro wrestling. So we'll talk about this much more as it develops, but Daniel Bryan, aka the American Dragon Brian Danielson, is all in. Thanks for watching this video from Real Take Sports Talk. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also, remember to check out our live show every single Thursday at 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. And remember, keep it real.